In this video I want to show you how to install the new Dark Star Pylons from Solidair Audio. These are slightly different from the original pylons that we invented about 6 years ago, I suppose. So we've come up with a slightly different concept. This one has a web in the bottom to stop any lateral movement at all, so you don't get any wow or flutter occurring from lateral movement of the chassis relative to the spider. It can't move that way because of this little web here, but it does cause us a slight installation issue, which is quite easy to work around, but I just want to show you how to do it. Okay, so we're going to need to uninstall the original springs so that we can install the pylons. This requires us to do a bit of disassembly, so I'm going to take off the drive belt. You might find it easier to remove the platter because it does add quite a lot of weight. Okay, I noticed I pushed down on the middle there so I don't lift the whole bearing off. It's better to leave the bearing in place if you can, otherwise you've got to fill it all up with oil again and it makes a mess. Next thing, we want to remove the chassis here. Notice I put the stylus guard on because it's such a fragile little thing and ridiculously expensive. Now this one that I've left as the original spring, I've already got the other two installed just to save a bit of time on the video. So I'm going to lift this up. You may need to push down to release the springs. If you can get somebody to help you with this, you might find it a bit easier as well. Let's just pop this over here and remove this. Now with this later version, it has a removable outer part of the tower mechanism, so you can just take off the whole thing. Now there is a ball bearing in there. This seems to be happily stuck in there at the moment, so I'm not going to disturb it. But make sure you don't lose that. Now I can just unscrew this and remove it. With the older version, this does not remove itself. You have to unscrew the spring, which also has an extra piece on the top. It has an adjuster ring on the top, so you can unscrew that and remove that. And then you're ready to put the new ones on. I find it easier to take this off, so I can locate in the middle of the new pylon. There's a small hole in the middle of the web, which this knurled part of the adjuster should pretty much fit straight through, but when it comes to the thread it's quite tight, so it works better if you screw it on. When the thread gets to the upper ring, you need to make sure it's located correctly. You might better do this more easily by just unthreading it a little bit until you hear it click. Okay, so we screw it down. Once the web reaches the bottom of the thread, we'll need a little push just to make sure that it's down on the straight slidey bit. Set the upper ring about halfway down the thread and pop it back in place. Now if you have the older version, you're going to have to do this in place, which means just take a little bit longer. Okay, you just need to screw it down. Make sure that goes on straight when you get there. Just screw it down from the top. All we're doing really is trying to avoid too much wear on the thread. It's a very tough thread, but we don't want to cause undue friction there. Okay, so that's ready to go. It's about halfway down the thread and we're ready to reinstall the rest of the turntable. Okay, remember not to lose your bearings. Pop the top back on. It should go on fairly easily. This one might be a bit taller than yours because we've got our feet on this one as well. Okay, so that's ready to go. That feels about right. Put the platter back on. Central nut. Doesn't need to be overly tight or anything. Oops. And then it's just a case of putting the drive belt back on, which is always a lot easier if you've got a bit of space around you. There we go. That's on. Before we put these back on, we really want to check the level. So just check it from side to side. Notice it's a little bit low here. Now I can adjust this easily with the newer version. With the older version it's a little bit more tricky. You need to take the weight off and actually turn the pylon itself to adjust the height. Okay, and once you've got it all set and happy, front to back as well. This one's a little bit, oh no, that's alright. We'll check it again and once it's settled in, play a few records, pop these back on. And there we go, ready for some nice listening. Enjoy the new clearer sound. Thank you very much for watching.